The NDP have removed Niki Ashton from their shadow cabinet after she visited a dying grandmother in Greece. Now, there's a lot of hypocrisy to this story, a lot of media hypocrisy, political hypocrisy, also some fair criticism as well of Niki Ashton. Before I even get into it, though, Niki Ashton is one of our better MPs in Canada. This is somebody who has stood up for the working class. I was pulling for her to become leader of the NDP when she was going up against Jagmeet Singh. But it is incredible to see the NDP fall over itself to immediately strip her of these positions when they barely show a fight when it comes to other issues. Now, are they better than the Liberals? Obviously, yes. But it is crazy to see just how quickly they disown this and compare that to practically anything else. And they never show that kind of fight when it comes to actually fighting other parties or fighting for issues. But when it came to this, immediately they took her out of these roles. Now, it began with this tweet on the 1st, wishing everyone a better year ahead. After spending Christmas alone with our family at home in Manitoba, now I am with my ailing grandmother in Greece. Then the story from HuffPost here. NDP strips Niki Ashton of critic roles after recent Greece trip. So her critic roles here: critic for public ownership, transport, deputy critic for women and gender equality. CBC with details here saying the NDP released a statement about an hour after her tweet, saying NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was not informed beforehand about her travel and that Ashton will be removed from her critic roles. Quote, while we are sympathetic to Miss Ashton's situation and understand her need to be with her family, millions of Canadians are following public health guidelines, even when it made it impossible for them to visit sick or aging relatives. Now, a couple things here. Niki Ashton did not violate Canadian public health guidelines, as I'll get to. But before that, I will say, look, there's a couple ways you can take this. Yes, she should have told NDP leader Jagmeet Singh that she was traveling, but at the same time, she may have been trying to protect him because she may have made her mind up that she's definitely going to go visit her grandmother, and that if she told Jagmeet Singh, basically it would come out later that she had told him and he had told her to not go, and that she had defied his authority. And then it would appear in the media to say, hey, look, Jagmeet Singh's a weak leader. He can't keep his shadow cabinet in order. And, he has no control over people. So in a way, she actually helped Jagmeet Singh here by not telling him. So just understand that she's been criticized here for not communicating beforehand, but that is likely the reason why she didn't, is to protect Jagmeet Singh and attacks that he would have gotten in the media. So let me go to the next tab here. Yes, this one. So just to give you an idea of what Niki Ashton has been fighting for, this is back in 2018. She was part of the Progressive International. This was a big conference that happened back then. If I scroll down, you can see here sitting behind Yanis Varoufakis and sitting beside Bernie Sanders, just to show you the kind of leadership she's been showing, not even just in Canada, but also internationally. But to the guidelines now. So when you actually look at the guidelines around travel in and out of Canada, it says avoid non-essential travel. Now, as we'll get to, many conservatives have been engaging in non-essential travel. This, I would say, is debatable. Visiting a dying grandmother, I wouldn't do it. If you're somebody who is, like Niki Ashton, somebody who is an elected official, you should be trying to go above and beyond what the guidelines are showing and show leadership there and not travel just like everyone else or most people are trying to, stay physically distanced. But that said, she didn't violate anything. And if I actually go deeper here, when it comes to people coming into Canada, these are exemption to border restrictions for compassionate reasons. One of the reasons is to be present during the final moments of life for a loved one or provide support to a loved one who has a critical illness. So this is one of the reasons why Canada allows people into the country. And as I said, she followed the guidelines, was allowed to leave, was allowed to enter Greece, followed their guidelines. She did all this beforehand to ensure that she could actually go there. She broke no laws, did nothing wrong on the books. Now, again, yes, when it comes to showing leadership, you do have to go above and beyond. But what the media has been doing, as I'll get to, is been comparing what she has done here to what conservatives have been doing. Before I get there, Debbie Ratchlis here tweets out, why are people upset that Niki Ashton went to Greece to care for a dying relative? Travel for the purpose of caregiving is essential travel. Canada has been allowing people to enter Canada to care for family members since the start of the pandemic. So what Niki Ashton did is not out of the ordinary. But we begin to get to the Conservatives here, what they've been doing. So this is in Ontario. The Ontario Conservative government, as outrage grows, Finance Minister Rod Phillips resigns over secret Caribbean vacation. So Pirates of the Caribbean will forever ruin this word for me. So Rod Phillips, he actually faced consequences. This is a guy who not only went on a secret vacation, he posted images, I believe even a video, of him pretending to be at home. It was pre-recorded, a video of him saying, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, while he was on the beach. So he posts a pre-recorded video pretending to be home while he's living it up on the beach in St. Bart's. And this is a guy, this is his second trip, by the way. This is his second trip during the pandemic. So obviously something had to be done here. He was forced to resign. Good. But when we get to some others, that was not the case. But before I even get there, Sam Hirsch here tweeting out, folks may not agree with what Niki Ashton did, but what's totally and utterly wrong and disrespectful is media equating what she did to what Rod Phillips did. Phillips vacationed in St. Bart's and lied about it. Niki went to see her dying grandmother. This is something you can see. If you Google right now, Niki Ashton gets removed from NDP or critic roles, look up any story. CBC, HuffPost, this story I showed you earlier. You scroll down past the Niki Ashton part, they will start comparing it to Rod Phillips, who resigned for going on vacation, or others that I'll get to in a second for going on vacation to Hawaii and other nice beaches, as if they're the same thing. Visiting your dying grandmother and going on a holiday on the beach is not the same thing. And I also watched a CBC segment comparing the two. Niki Ashton, they discussed the Niki Ashton story and then folded right into the others that have also left Canada to go on vacation on the beach during the pandemic, as if they're the same thing. They're not the same thing, and the media equating the two is really just completely absurd. Now, let me get to some other conservatives here. HuffPost, Jason Kenney's chief of staff quietly returned from UK despite flight ban. So this is the United Conservative Party in Alberta. There was a flight ban on the UK because of the new strain of the virus there. So what his chief of staff did was, because there was a ban on flights into Canada, he went to the US and then went up through the US into Canada. And guess what? Nothing happened to this guy. Still has his job, has his role. Nothing happened. He's perfectly fine, apparently. Also, UCP Minister Tracy Allard vacationed in Hawaii amid COVID-19 second wave. Again, nothing happened to either of them. Globe and Mail tweeting out here, Jason Kenney will not discipline minister, chief of staff for December holiday trips. And they're not the only two. In fact, this may be part of his reasoning for not disciplining them at all, though I don't think he would have anyways, because he doesn't care. But because it got a lot worse. Because if he disciplined those two, he would have had to keep going. 2 more UCP MLAs returning to Alberta from trips abroad. Pat Wren is apologizing for a trip to Mexico while Jeremy Nixon was in Hawaii. Somebody made a joke on Twitter. I wish I can give credit. But basically saying the Canada guidelines around travel abroad, those restrictions are really only there so you don't run into other politicians while you're traveling. Because there's been so many. I'm not even done. At least eight United Conservative Party staffers. Again, this is the Conservative Party in Alberta. Staffers traveled internationally over Christmas. At least 8 of them. And again, Jason Kenney doing absolutely nothing. None of them are losing any of their roles. They get to go on like normal. Meanwhile, Niki Ashton visiting a dying grandmother. NDP, within the hour, she loses her roles. It really shows you just how weak our parties are on the left. When it comes to, it's one thing if they were as forceful or as much of a fighter when it came to other issues or when it came to fighting other parties as they are against their own. But this is what we do all the time. We eat our own. There could have been a statement here saying what Niki Ashton did was wrong. She should be held to a higher standard. She didn't break any guidelines, but she should be held to a higher standard as a person in a leadership position. Maybe there is a way to for some consequences here that doesn't result in her losing all of her roles within the party. But to treat her like she went to vacation in Hawaii is just completely absurd. This somebody visiting her dying grandmother, yes, should not have gone. I wouldn't have gone. You're an elected official. You have to be held to a higher standard. But the way the NDP immediately falls over itself to clamp down and strip her of these roles is just, it shows you we will never be able to attain any sort of power if we continually try to appease the media and the right wing.